Our guest today is the Chief Executive Officer of the Chicago Public Schools. The Chicago Public Schools serve over 400,000 students in 665 schools. The Chicago Public School System is the third largest school system in our nation. She was a teacher for more than 12 years in New York City's public school system. Our guest today taught both high school and elementary school levels. She holds a master's degree of science from Pace University, a master's degree of the arts from New York University, and a bachelor's degree of the arts from Long Island University. Our guest today is married, has one daughter, Leah, and twin grandsons. Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Byrd-Bennett. Barbara? All right. Have fun. Have fun up here.
Good afternoon. You heard my bio. I come from schools, and when we go into a classroom, we say good afternoon. It's a different thing, so let's try it again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Jay, City Club members, and distinguished guests for giving me this opportunity to speak with you today. A new school year started September 2nd, and all across Chicago, students settled into new classrooms, meeting new teachers and making new friends. I visited 9 schools on the first day of school, and each school I visited, I watched children eagerly settling into their classrooms, just bursting with positive energy and excitement. And each child had that look. That look. It's the look that every teacher and every parent has seen. That look that recognizes some wonderment in a child's eye. The child's anticipation of what's going to happen, a very special moment. It's that look of anticipation that something special is going to happen, something good is going to happen. Did anybody notice how calm and quiet school opening was this year? There was none of the controversy or the conflict of the past years. There was simply the start of a new school year. Every school year should be this way. I want every child who walks across the classroom on that first day, seeing and greeting his new teacher, to be filled with one thing, the wonderment and the anticipation of learning. Like many of the educators in this room, I firmly believe that there's no more important work in this city, this state, and in this nation than the work of educating our children. And this is why I decided not to travel down other paths that I was prepared for, but I decided to devote my professional career to the education of our children. The Chicago Public Schools is facing times ahead, and we don't deny it that our times that we're facing are troublesome. We continue to face challenging fiscal times. And to address the fiscal challenges, we've reduced the central office operations spending each year since 2011 for a cumulative reduction of nearly $740 million. And that included in that $740 million is $55 million in savings this fiscal year. We did everything possible during these reductions not to jeopardize the remarkable gains that our students and our teachers are making in the classrooms every day. We're committed to protecting those investments because we know those investments will drive student achievement. We were able to do this for the past 2 years, but the future term for our health, financial health that is, in the district remains very much in doubt without meaningful pension reform in Springfield and the additional state funding that supports public education. As the Chief Executive Officer of this district, our financial realities are never far from my mind. As a matter of fact, it's the one thing that really keeps me up at night. But today, I'm not here to talk about our finances. Today, I'm here as Barbara, the teacher, the administrator, and the educator. And I'm here to talk about the unlimited potential that our students possess and the tremendous progress that they are making. Nearly 3 years ago, I accepted the responsibility. Nearly 3 years, I can't believe it. Nearly 3 years ago, I accepted the responsibility to lead the Chicago Public Schools, and I did so for several reasons. First, I thought that the school district had tremendous promise. I saw a mayor who had education as his highest priority, and as such, we're seeing results. I saw a mayor and a board of education who understood what it would take to create and sustain a high-performing school district. I saw a district with strong leadership and talented leadership both at the central headquarters and in the schools. I saw teachers who were caring and committed to the work of educating students. And I saw a city with parents, faith-based leaders, community partners who shared a dedication to the success of Chicago's next generation of children. Today, our school district is a very different district than it was in 2011. In just nearly 3 short years, we have begun to deliver on our promises. Today, we can report significant gains in high school graduation rates, increased student attendance rates, improved test scores, and fewer suspensions and expulsions. Results like this don't happen by accident. They're the results of establishing a common vision for the schools. And they're the results of carefully planned investments and strategic investments. Last year, I shared with you our education plan, The Next Generation Chicago's Children. The plan is not only about students in schools, it really is about Chicago's future. In the plan, we guarantee and commit ourselves to 5 very important things. All students should receive a rigorous, well-rounded, powerful education. All of our students should have the social and emotional supports they need to be successful. We need to ensure that our parents are engaged and play an active role in their children's education. Supporting and developing great teachers and administrators is a prime value to us. And we guarantee and commit ourselves to developing practices to ensure that we abide by sound fiscal, operational, and accountable systems. We're making measurable progress as we follow the plan and maintain a relentless focus to prepare our students for success in college, career, and in life. There is much more work to be done, but I'd like to share a few highlights of our successes with you this morning. Over the last 2 years, we've made unparalleled investments in early childhood education for our very youngest learners. Previously, some of our children had a full-day kindergarten and some had a half-day kindergarten. And those of you who have little people or have raised little people, you know what it's like if they come in and get their coat off, get their galoshes, and they still say galoshes, get boots and gloves off, and by that time, it's time for lunch. And some children would have to go home while others stayed for an academic lesson, for an arts lesson, for creative music. So now all of our eligible kindergarten-age children in our district have access to full-day kindergarten. And this means that 30,400 children are benefiting from that full-day kindergarten program. And the results are proving that we know when we say we value early childhood education. Additionally, Mayor Emanuel has committed to expand free pre-kindergarten opportunities for every 4-year-old from a low-income family. We know that pre-kindergarten makes a difference for our children. The results are in. Kindergarten literacy assessment results for this past school year revealed that students who attended a district pre-kindergarten program were better prepared for kindergarten. 60.7% of our kindergarten students who attended a district preschool program scored proficient or above at every category of literacy assessment, which means the faster we develop language skills, the more propensity for our children to do really well. That's compared with 55.7% of the children who did not attend a preschool program. From our earliest English language learners, the results are even more dramatic, with 83.9% of these children at or above proficiency in language development, compared to 72.8%. Last year, for the first time in Chicago's history, every child had access to a full school day and a full school year. In the past, our elementary schools received 22% less instructional time than the national average, and our high school students had 15% less time. Just imagine now a child who enters kindergarten and stays in the system through 12th grade will receive an additional 2.5 years of instructional time. For far too long, public schools, our public schools here in Chicago, were allowed to chronically languish with underperformance. And for the first time, we've established annual targets for our schools, and we have focused on our neighborhood schools. We've implemented a focused approach to improve those schools and remove them from academic probation. As a result, 90 of the chronically underperforming schools have been removed from academic probation. Throughout the 2013-14 school year, we had 176 schools in the highest performing category. And this continues a 3-year growth trend and represents the greatest number of high-performing schools in the history of the district. Our work is not over. But last year, our 8th graders outperformed their peers across the country in reading and mathematics in the Common Core Aligned NWEA standardized test. NWEA results show that more than half of our students in grades 2 through 8 scored at or above the national attainment level in reading. We made use of Freshmen on Track. It's a metric that is a priority for us. This track measure helps us to identify those students that need the grades and the credits earned in 9th grade in order to successfully graduate. With this information, our teachers can intervene early and often with any student who may be off track. Using this metric, our graduation rate last year was 65.4, and this year our graduation is 69.4. It's an increase of 4 percentage points in 1 year and 11 percentage points since 2011. Based on Freshmen on Track, our projected graduation rate in 4 years will be over 84%. We're preparing our students better than ever to enter high school and to graduate from high school. Last year, our high school juniors received the highest composite HCT score in the history of Chicago Public Schools. Our seniors collectively earned close to $800 million in scholarship offers. These offers remove the potential financial barriers that might prohibit our children from attending college. We had 44 Gates Millennium Scholars. This is the 5th time in 6 years that we had more Gates Scholars than any other district in the nation. When students are not in school, we cannot teach them, and they cannot learn. Our teachers, our students, and their parents know this, and despite a historically harsh winter, in case somebody's forgotten, last winter, historically harsh winter, student attendance increased at every grade level across the district. We piloted a comprehensive attendance plan designed to increase attendance and to address those barriers that result in a child being chronically absent or truant. We identified and selected 183 schools to participate in the attendance pilot. And the results are encouraging, and we'll be able to move from a pilot to something that is far more systemic. The targeted schools demonstrated positive shifts in attendance rates, increasing twice as much as other schools that did not participate in the pilot. Chronic absenteeism and chronic truancy also declined twice as much. These and other efforts resulted in a record attendance rate for the district last year of 93.2. We have worked to refine and implement a more equitable approach to student discipline. In 2012, with community input, we amended the Student Code of Conduct by placing greater focus on restorative and instructive practices for our children. 3 years ago, just 127 schools used these practices. Now, over 263 of our schools have incorporated restorative justice practices to help students ease conflict among their peers and to build the necessary supports and relationships. Over 150 of our schools are now incorporating those practices. And as a result, suspensions and expulsions are down. Over the past 3 years, we have a 26% reduction in suspensions. That means that 18,000 more of our children in grades kindergarten through high school are coming to school. We believe that an overly punitive discipline policy that keeps students out of school is just wrong. Suspended and expelled students miss out on valuable learning time, and too often those students are the very ones who drop out of school. We've not forgotten these children who we've referred to as lost children. We need to be aggressively reaching out to these children and expanding their options to come back to school. We've added 2,500 seats and are aggressively working to re-engage those students in our option schools. Those of us who have worked with young people understand from experience that the old system of education simply does not work for all students. One size does not fit all. And not only does it not fit all, but it can be counterproductive, and those are the very students who may drop out. Our students learn at different rates and in different modalities. So we further have implemented programs and practices to meet the needs of students who are overaged and undercredited. Over the last 3 years, with the support of the mayor, we've made investments to ensure that our children are prepared for the 21st century. Tens of thousands of additional students now have access to computers, laptops, iPads, and other technologies. In 2011, fewer than 100 of our schools had high-speed fiber optic internet connections. I'll say that again. High-speed fiber internet connections. Now our students and staff, however, have access to 8 times faster internet connection, which allows greater use for advanced software, helping our students to exchange ideas and engage in rigorous instruction. By working to increase bandwidth in all of our schools, we have begun an aggressive initiative to bring one-to-one wireless capacity to schools that will help our teachers to use a personalized learning approach for all of their students. For our students to be guaranteed the opportunity to compete for jobs for the 21st century, we believe that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are important, or STEM. In 2018, 1 in 5 jobs in Cook County is expected to be of a STEM field. Almost 90% of these jobs will require training after high school, and some of them will require a bachelor's degree. So we've launched a very ambitious computer science coding initiative, one of the most ambitious in the country. This is also why Mayor Emanuel and I have made access to STEM and International Baccalaureate, or IB, education a priority. Since 2011, we've added 7 new full-scale IB high schools and 11 new IB feeder schools. 5 of our schools have IB academic programs, and we have the largest international baccalaureate program in the country. We've seen freshmen on track rates at these schools increase from 72.5% to 86.1% in just 2 years. Since 2010-11 school year, we've added 5 new early college STEM high schools. We've added 11 new STEM elementary feeder schools. And in partnership with the city colleges, we've initiated dual enrollment in early college credit programs. In 2011, our students were enrolled in 319 courses, dual credit and early college courses. Today, 2,682 courses are available, and our students are enrolled in those courses, encouraging them to seek careers for college, to seek career opportunities, and to seek opportunities that will accelerate their graduation. The number of students enrolled in advanced placement courses has grown 25% in 3 years, and 30% more of our students are earning AP exams. Take Lane Tech Prep High School, for example. That school administers more AP exams than any other school in the state. They expect to reach 5,000 exams this year. The school has an AP exam pass rate of 72%, well above the national norm of 60%. Over the last 3 years, advanced placement participation for African American and Latino students in the Chicago public schools has increased more than any other ethnic group. Our African American and Latino students have a higher rate of participation than any other large urban district. Growth like this is unprecedented in large urban districts. Only in Chicago are students making progress at this pace and at this scale. And it's clear on all fronts that we're really running this race to success faster than any other large urban district. The safety of our children is always important to me. So last year, the mayor committed to expand safe passage to more neighborhoods and more schools. This fall, approximately 1,300 safe passage workers were working with 106 of our schools. With the additional $10 million secured by the mayor through a state grant, we're able to even further expand safe passage to a total of 133 schools with 600 additional workers. Safe passage, by any measure, is a success. There's been a reduction in crime incidents around the schools and increase in student attendance. It provides jobs for community members and gives students and parents confidence. They know that someone is watching and supporting their children as they go to and from school. During winter and spring holidays, it's a time when we worry about the safety of our children as well, and we need them to be safe. Safe Haven, in partnership with many of our churches and community-based organizations, provides a place for our children to receive academic instruction, tutoring, arts activities, and meals. So we've expanded our Safe Haven program from 40 sites in 3 years 3 years ago, we had 40 sites. Now we have 140 sites. Last year, I shared with many of you the plans I had for a district mentoring program. We called it Mentoring the Next Generation. And I'm proud to share with you that we had nearly 500 central office and network staff paired with students in kindergarten and grade 8 for weekly sessions at that student's school. As an educator and as a parent, and yeah, now as a grandma, most brilliant children born in 2004, Jalen and Khalil, I firmly believe in the power and the positive influence of a significant adult in a child's life. The presence and the attention of a positive adult role model can dramatically change a child's life. Simply by being there each week, mentors make their students feel important and show them that there is a caring adult who has their interest at heart. This school year, I'm doubling the size of the program inside CPS, but I'm also reaching out to you, our community partners, the city's business leaders, and anyone who wants to make a difference in a child's life. I encourage you to become one of our mentors. My team is here today, and I see that they were allowed to put brochures out there, so we want to make sure you sign up. Please consider this a call to action. We need an army of believers. We need you to win for our children. Chicago Public Schools was at one time a system marked by inequity, very low expectations, weak accountability systems, and general apathy. We are always under the microscope. We're always in the news. But when you learn of the accomplishments, when you examine the data, when you visit our schools, when you talk with our teachers, when you talk with our students, there can be no question that Chicago students have made and continue to make meaningful, measurable progress. I've shared with you only a few of the highlights of our progress because I need for you to renew your belief and to understand how far we've come and how critical it is that we sustain these efforts to build on our momentum. The progress is not because of one person, the CEO. The progress is in part because of the leadership of Mayor Emanuel and members of the Board of Education. It's in part because of the hard work of committed teachers, principals, students, families, community partners, and many of you in this room. Day by day, we move closer to fulfilling our responsibility to the students and family and the city we serve. Our students, our parents, and the communities, our teachers, administrators, we're really quite a resilient bunch. United, we share a belief that every child in Chicago has the right to a 21st century quality education. I am ending today, so there's time for questions, with a section from a book that I'm really very fond of. I actually gave it to everybody in my cabinet. It's called I'm Amazed by Jody Hills. And I quote from her. She says, "I'm amazed at those who plant, who nurture, who create, and grow. I admire the patient who takes risks and the risk takers with patience. I'm amazed at those who walk the daily tightrope without looking down, and I admire those who trust, and even more, those who give reason to. I admire the builders, and I'm amazed by those who have the strength to rebuild. I admire the teachers who listen, and the listeners who teach. I'm amazed by the resilience of the faithful, and those who believe with no proof, and those who sing with no audience. Like Jody Hills, I am amazed, and I admire all of the members of our community in Chicago who work every day in every way to contribute to the vision for the next generation of our children. All we want, all anybody wants, is for a child to be successful, to be prepared for college, to be prepared for his career, but more importantly, just to be prepared for life, to be a contributing member of his or her society. Yes, that's the vision that we have for Chicago Public Schools. It's the vision that we're reaching. There's much, much more work to be done, but our progress is undeniable. Thank you.
Wow. What, nobody else was wowed? I just saw Senator Kim Lightford walk in the door. Where she went? Oh, there she is. Before we take questions, we're going to get Barbara Byrd-Bennett some water so she can take just a couple of seconds of breather. But this next generation packet, I'm told that Ashley Richardson, I know she's here somewhere, is the person to see, or Barbara Lumpkin. So if you're interested in that, please make sure you do. We have a ton of questions, and we won't get to all of them today. I will start with our very first Twitter question. Jay, this is history, right? This is history.
Don't tell the press.
Don't tell the press. Shh. Room full of press and don't tell the press. Okay. So the first question that we have, did you get your water? Okay, we want to give her time to breathe here. Can you explain your vision on how traditional school autonomy will better personalize learning for disadvantaged children?
I don't quite understand the question in terms of disadvantaged children. I think that what personalized learning does is essentially what we referred to when I was training kind of back in the olden days. It's differentiated, it's individualized so that it meets children where children are at that moment, and it has the opportunity to use technology to move children in their teaching and learning at their own rate. But it also requires that the child is not sitting before a computer all day long, that that child has an interaction with his teacher, that his teacher knows where that child's interests lie and what is needed in order to have that child proceed aggressively forward.
Thank you. You know, teachers and principals watch everything you do, so she sees me back here shuffling these papers, and she's like, you didn't hear a thing I said. So, overall graduation rates are up. I don't have a person's name for this. This was given to me earlier. I am supposed to give your name and whether or not you're a City Club member, but I don't have a name for this person. Overall graduation rates are up, but can you talk a little bit about the graduation rates for African American, Latino, brown, and black children overall?
Yeah, the overall graduation rate is up, and it is also for comparable groups. So although I talked about an aggregate number, the number of African American and Latino children who are graduating since 2011 has increased as well. It's not where it should be, obviously, and one of the things that what we're doing through the option schools is really reaching out for those children, most of whom are African American and Latino, to bring them back into school so that there is an opportunity for those children to receive an education that they need in a different modality. Because obviously, school didn't work for them. We didn't work for them. And so, you know, if the child was round and our peg was square and it didn't fit, I think it's the obligation of the adults in the system to get those children back in while we simultaneously continue to educate the children who are already in the system.
Very good. This question comes from Chad Kreindler. Did I say that name right? Okay, we're going to go like I did. T-Mobile, state, local, and educational government, I guess is what you do. You have previously expressed your commitment to digital learning by providing internet access to all CPS students. How will you be incorporating wireless internet across inside schools and at their homes?
I have very little control over people's homes. Nor do I want to be in their homes. But it is really important that, for me, this is an equity of access issue. And so as I looked across the district, there were pockets of children who had the opportunity to use digital devices and others did not. So working to ensure that the bandwidth is, and I don't understand all of that, nor do I choose to, but to know that the bandwidth makes it accessible for our children to have the digital devices, to use the technology as an advanced learning tool, and to integrate that technology. I want to be really clear, because I don't want people to think that our vision is, at least my vision is, that children will be sitting in front of computers all day long. That's not what I mean when I talk about personalized learning. It is what I mean when I talk about leveraging technology in order to provide differentiated learning instruction for children.
You talked a little bit about the next generation and the 5 tiers that you have, and one of them is community and parent groups. This person, Jill W., is asking, what parent groups and community groups will you partner with, if there are some that you are not already partnering with?
We do have a number of partnerships across, we work with the CACs, we work with the parent teacher organizations, we work with the LSCs, we formed a Latino Advisory Commission that's helping us to think through not only policy, but also practice. What is it that we need to do that we aren't doing, and what do we need to stop doing that we may be doing? And so the engagement, the continued engagement of all types of community is very important to us. the district, you know, and I'd be foolish and dishonest if I didn't say to you, the district has not had a history of being very transparent or true to their word or even honest. The one thing that we've been working toward, and you don't just, you know, wave a magic wand and say, here we are, we're going to be honest and transparent. You have to say what you mean, deliver on what you mean, and really accept advice from people when they say perhaps this could be done differently. And we've been striving to do that. Do we hit it out of the ballpark every time? No. But we have to continue to make certain that that middle pillar, which is the pillar that talks about not community involvement, but engagement, is an important cornerstone for the work that we're doing.
I have two questions from parents who are Chicago Public Schools parents. One is a Christy Hansen, and the other one I don't have a name for. You guys got to put your names on these questions, or next time I'm going to start being like Dr. Green and not asking them. You were scared, weren't you? Okay. So one CPS parent, Christy Hansen, says, I'm going to ask this in a two-part question because this is an elementary and this is a higher education one. Why can't all elementary schools have a foreign language program and have full music and arts teachers? That's one. And then the other question is, what are you doing to address the lack of seats in selective enrollment and in the IB high schools?
A lot of parts on that one. Let me start with the elementary school. You know, in part, many of the mandates that we have from the state crowd the schedule. And I don't quite know how to explain it any better, except that it crowds the schedule. And it is really up to principals and leadership teams to have the conversation and figure out, based on a belief that the arts are important. I happen to think that they're inextricable from life, and I couldn't imagine a school that does not have an arts program. That doesn't necessarily mean that you just have a program where kids go to the art teacher, but you have to figure out ways also in the elementary schools where it's a thread throughout all of the classes. We don't have the financial resources, quite frankly, to provide an art teacher at every school. We did, however, take some of our TIF dollars to make sure that we could ensure that schools that did not have an arts teacher or did not have that as a part of their program could. Would we want to expand that? Absolutely. And are we aggressively having conversations with principals to help us figure out and to help them figure out how you make certain that you have that partnership with an arts agency and you have arts in your school? The second was IB?
Yes, IB, lack of selective enrollments in IB high schools.
Yeah, I think one of the pieces that we're struggling with, we have a number of selective enrollment schools, for example, on the south side, and the seats are not filled there. And working to, again, go back to that third pillar to make sure that parents, students understand that there are seats available and that there is quality instruction at the selective and the IB schools are important. I do want to underscore, however, that I feel like I'm going into a J-Lo routine now, like around the way girl. I believe in neighborhood schools as well. And I think you have to build quality neighborhood schools in all of our neighborhoods. And that's an important piece of the work that we're doing as well. The Office of Strategic School Support Services, we have a number of our neighborhood schools there. And as we look at what's happening in those schools and the enrollment going up and the supports that are being provided, it's invigorating. So I think that what we are looking to is having a well-rounded platform of schools. IB schools have been shown nationally and historically that it provides the kind of deep quality instruction and education that children need and will confront in college. We also have to prepare our children who may not want to go to college for careers. However, they should be able to go to college should they choose at a later time. I mean, I think how many people in this room probably said or could have said, I want to do X when I graduate, and you're probably not doing X. You might be doing something else. The career changed, but you needed to have those skills and the supports that allowed you to make those kind of changes, and that would be the aspiration for the children in our school district.
Just going to take a couple more. Martha Janko, a former teacher who is also a City Club board member, is asking, what type of technical vocational education does CPS offer? I think you talked about it a little bit, but if you could elaborate a little bit more.
Sure. So I think that there's been I don't think that we historically have paid as much attention as we could and should to CTE programs, career and technical education. When I talked about the jobs in STEM, for example, in the STEM field, for our children to have the kinds of opportunities in STEM to accept and be able to fulfill those jobs of the future is very important. But there are also incredible jobs, and I'm sure people might have read about it, for electricians, for plumbers, for carpenters, and for, quite frankly, jobs that are unknown and unknowable for the 21st century. And we've got to figure out what those jobs look like and prepare our children to be able to accept those jobs. And that's a part of what we are doing, and to move them much more aggressively. Do I believe that you know, cosmetology and catering and food service is really important? Yes. But I think we also have to have a balance with other kind of career and technical opportunities for our young people. And the infusion of that, actually, very shortly in 2 of our high schools, we'll be making those kind of announcements, are coming.
Can you talk a little bit about the collaboration between some of the contract and charter schools, and any data that we've collected between the traditional public school, the charter school, and the contract schools? Have you seen any data that's coming out that we can discuss, that you can discuss?
Yeah, I don't have it right in my head. We have, just as we have with all of our schools across the district, we have some charter schools that do it incredibly well. And we have some that are not at the quality that we want. And this is why we set a common accountability framework that said all students, all schools need to adhere to a common accountability framework. Those that do not, including our charter schools, just as we have our district schools that used to be labeled, and we're figuring out a different label for this. I really hate the term probation. It's so, it just does not sit right with me. But we know those are the schools that need intervention, that need support. We have also established a charter warning list, and if our charter schools are not performing at the level that we want, if they're not performing in within the common accountability framework, then we have to take the action that we would take with any of our neighborhood schools.
Last question, I'm going to paraphrase here. Can you talk about some of the satellite stations in some of the districts? You talked about the safe passage and some of the greater numbers that you've seen, but are we seeing any returns on some of the satellite CPS police stations in the schools?
Well, it's the first time I'm going to say, I don't know. I don't know about the satellite police stations. What I do know is that our children are getting to and from school safer. All that we thought could happen has not, because community members who know the children are there every day, seeing that they get to and fro. And in those schools where we do have safe passage workers, the attendance at those schools are up, and the crime around the perimeter of those schools has decreased. So by all measures, that's why we say that's successful.
Great. I think she has one of the toughest jobs in the city. Let's give her a hand.